Hello and welcome to your Daily Mobile Game Sizzle with me, Jon Jordan. So today we are talking about Lineage II Revolution. So it's just been launched in South Korea, and it has done incredibly well. So in the first month alone, just from South Korea, it's generated almost $180 million. So let's go through that again. Just Korea, just on mobile, $180 million of revenue in a month. That is absolutely incredible. So why has Lineage II Revolution done so well? Well, there's a few reasons around it. Firstly, it's based on the Lineage II PC MMOG that came out in 2003, massively popular in Korea and in other Southeast Asian countries. Obviously, the people who are playing that now are a bit older, 13 years older, and so that means they're in their 30s and 40s. That means they have more disposable income. Probably means they have less time to spend playing PC MMOGs. Maybe they have families and such like. So mobile works really well to kind of capture that market. Another thing to say is Korea is a very high-end free-to-play mobile market. So it's always been very big on free-to-play on PC and mobile. It's always had very fast infrastructure and Wi-Fi, so it always has very high level of graphics. It expects a high level of graphics on its mobile devices, and that can kind of help monetization. The other thing is that Lineage 2 did very well in South Korea when it came out. So you have a kind of pre-bait audience. As soon as this game comes out, it doesn't really need a lot of marketing or such like, because as soon as people know it's out and their friends are playing it, then they kind of like go back into that time when they were playing Lineage 2. And so you kind of have this kind of ready-made market that's kind of ready to spend. But even with all those things considered, you have to say $180 million is an awful lot of money. And there's been some crazy figures as well. So it's had a 1.25 million daily active users, so that's a lot, and 5 million monthly active users as well. So for one game, that's pretty impressive. So I guess one question to arise is, will the game do as well outside South Korea? That's a harder one to answer. What you tend to find is Japan and Korea are both quite insular markets. They're quite small population-wise, but they both have very high levels of ARPU, so average revenue per player. And that's because they're just very used to free-to-play mobile games. It's the same thing in China as well, but the Chinese just have a very, obviously, much larger population, which kind of accounts for the fact that they don't have such kind of high ARPU on a per-player basis. So another interesting fact from the success of Lineage II Revolution is the publisher, which is Netmarble, which is a very successful and one of the biggest, if not now the biggest, Korean free-to-play mobile publisher and developer. It's kind of interesting because the Lineage 2 came out, or is published by, and the IP is owned by NCSoft, which was kind of the original successful free-to-play PC company from Korea. It's not done so well on mobile, certainly outside of Korea, and kind of Netmarble is we could say, kind of the new NCSoft for the global generation. And Netmarble is looking to IPO, so it's looking to float its shares on the Korean Stock Exchange. So this news comes at a very good time for Netmarble's future share price. I guess we do have to be a little bit cautious. $180 million is a lot, and whether that will be sustained every month is hard to tell. And the other thing is, can the game be as successful globally? And that seems to me to be a little unlikely, just because Lineage 2 was such a popular game, particularly in South Korea. And I think the final conclusion we can learn from this kind of success is that there are some of these interesting Asian markets where a game can be incredibly successful just in that market, and that's kind of big enough. So we definitely see it in Japan all the time, where we have games like Puzzle and Dragons and Monster Strike, which are billion-dollar games just in those markets, and they don't really generate a lot of money outside those markets. The same thing happens in Korea. It's a smaller market, so it's kind of harder to generate $1 billion off the back of that. The same thing definitely happens in China, which is a massive market and worth $10 billion annually now. So that's the biggest mobile games market in the world. So you kind of have these interesting situations where games that, just for their kind of cultural resonance, aren't going to travel globally in the same way, but can be incredibly successful in what are relatively small markets.